Hi, Aimee. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, very happy you invited me.
And actually, the funny thing is that I am at Aimee's place of work. So I'm here meeting her. Aimee and I are friends, and we also support each other professionally.
Absolutely.
So we do what we can to help each other. We're pushing each other and all of that. And what I wanted Aimee to share with you today is after we have her introduce herself, I look forward to hearing about some times whenever you believe that you acted in a bold and brave way, even if you didn't know it at the time, even if it's something that came afterwards, but I look forward to hearing about that. So introduce yourself professionally, please.
Well, my name is Aimee Barresi, and I'm the community liaison here at Presbyterian Village North, which is a continuous care retirement community. We are situated on over 60 acres of beautiful park-like setting.
Gorgeous.
And we have every level of care: independent living, assisted living, therapy, skilled nursing, outpatient therapy, memory care.
Saltwater pool.
Gorgeous. So we have all of those and many more amenities. Wonderful dining, activities, a fantastic gym, and the most important thing is when you're older that you have that camaraderie and sense of community.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when you get older and you do wound up either losing a spouse or you're by yourself, the loneliness and the isolation can be just as deadly as smoking cigarettes and drinking a lot of alcohol. It's just a very slippery slope if you go down the slope of loneliness. So when you're in a place like this, you are among friends and you can meet friends.
And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. There's so many places that I just want to like curl up and read, or the outdoor spaces. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So tell us more about yourself professionally, because you have had a very interesting history.
Yes, and all of it is true. So I started,
she says.
I started off pursuing a journalism degree to go into either print or television or radio. And then I took a detour and I went over to work in the cruise industry. And it was just supposed to be for years, supposed to be like a sabbatical between college and going into my professional career. I wound up doing it for 6 years. I worked on 8 different ships. I visited 23 countries, and I met all kinds of people from all over the world. So that was fantastic. Well, I wound up meeting my husband on the ship, and then once I met him, I got off the ship and then became a mom and have a girl and a boy that they kept me grounded and definitely land-bound for a while. So once I got done with getting acclimated to land, I wasn't happy where I was at personally, so I did wind up getting divorced, and my ex-husband and I stayed very close, and we were able to co-parent the kids and go to all their sporting events together.
So important.
And
so important.
Just maintain that friendship that was, everything was extremely civil and very friendly. So that all happened. And then once my daughter graduated high school, I knew that I had to get into like a serious career, and I just wound up getting into healthcare with absolutely no experience, and never even in a million years thought that I would work in healthcare, that I would work with seniors. I was always into writing articles for the newspaper. For a brief time I had a radio show, AM radio talk show. So that was never, but I'm so glad that I was led down that path, because I've been doing it for almost 10 years and I've worked in every aspect of senior care.
Well, and what's so surprising to me is you seem so passionate about it. So you think that, well, you find your passion early, but as we're finding as we grow older,
yes,
as we get more experience in life, that you can always have passions that you discover. And it comes from saying yes to things. It comes to being open to trying new things, or being aware of an opportunity that's there, or even taking a bad situation and turn it into a positive.
Correct.
So is there anything about yourself personally that you would like people to know about you before we get into the story?
Sure. Personally, I would have to say that I am personally the happiest I've ever been in my life because I'm living in Dallas, Texas, and I am working for a great community that is very supportive of their different managers, and you're allowed to become a leader here. It's not, you know, you don't know what you're talking about or anything like that. It is very, very positive and supporting. And I'm single, and I have wonderful friends. And I have a dog, a French bulldog, Rocco. So I spend most of my time on the weekends with him.
Sweet Rocco.
Yes, he's a very sweet puppy. And then I would have to say what I do outside of work would mostly be exercising. I love to go to the gym. I love walking, hiking, and then of course spending time with my kids.
With your children.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you know I adore you. I find you very interesting, and I've always loved the time we spent together, and I love our conversations, either on the phone or in person. And all, even though you live like so far away from me now, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But this is what I'm dying to hear. What is a time that you look back on that, and you might not have known it at the time, or you might have been aware of it at the time, but when was a time in your life that you acted with boldness and bravery?
Okay. So this goes back to 2013 when I was volunteering with the American Heart Association, the Lung Association, and the American Cancer Society. Those three organizations were working very hard underneath a grant to comprehensively have Mississippi adopt smoke-free laws for indoors. I know, it sounds crazy that there's places that you can still smoke inside, but Mississippi was one of them, and this was 2013. So we had worked very hard on a city...
10 years ago? Oh my goodness gracious.
I know. Well, that we still haven't passed the law comprehensively, but we went city by city. And one of the cities that I was in charge of with my partner from the Lung Association was Pascagoula, Mississippi. So we
Pascagoula?
Pascagoula,
Mississippi.
Pascagoula, Mississippi. So we worked very hard with all of the leaders, and we also worked with the city council to get this in front of the city council and the mayor to vote for an ordinance. We did all that. We lobbied for like 24 hours before the vote, burning the midnight oil because it didn't look like we had enough votes. We got the votes, it was passed. Well, immediately the bars, there was a jazz club and there was a couple different bars in the town. They never thought it would be passed. They were up in arms protesting at the next city council meeting. So I went into the city council meeting all by myself.
Oh.
And they were there with pitchforks and torches. They were so upset. And then when I walked into the city council meeting, I noticed that there were state troopers there as well as Pascagoula police. And I said, what's with all the security? And they're like, well, things are going to get crazy because things could possibly get out of hand because they were so angry. And they each had a chance to go up there and talk about why it should be overturned. They tried to overturn it within a week of it being passed after all that hard work and time spent with grassroots marketing. And they did at one point talk about me in a very derogatory way on the internet and then made threats. So I could have just turned tail and not done it, but I went, and they were all sitting there in the gallery, and I went and spoke in defense of our legislation, our ordinance that we had gotten passed, and said the reasons why it had to be kept as law, and it did. And that law, that ordinance still stands today in Pascagoula because I wasn't afraid of all the angry shouting.
Yeah, my gosh.
Foreigners.
Well, I think that, you know, as a human, as a woman, as an individual, you recognize the danger in it. And it's so awful to have people make, you know, personal threats, personal comments about you.
Yes.
And, you know, there's segments of our society that will not even do anything because they're so afraid of what's going to happen. The backlash, absolutely. And for good reason. I mean, and for good reason. You know, it's brutal what happens to people online now. And so, yeah, girl, I got to give you credit for that because it's personal.
Yes.
It's personal. But think of all the people that you have helped. Think of all the people that you served.
That they don't have to breathe in secondhand smoke over long periods of time, especially in the casinos. That was just someplace where the smoke was constant and scientifically proven.
And this is going to sound kind of bitchy, but I don't really feel sorry for these bar owners and stuff because it was happening all across the country.
Yes.
Why did they think it wasn't going to happen in Mississippi? I mean, yeah, Mississippi is able to stay behind the times in a lot of things.
That's right.
But that, like you said, it's scientifically, medically proven.
Yes.
And when I was in college in Lubbock, Texas, working in the bars and the restaurants, they were installing the systems, the smoke systems. They were installing the ventilation systems then. And well, that was back in the 1980s when that was happening. So I mean, it isn't like it was just out of the blue. So you weren't asking for anything that shouldn't happen.
Correct.
So, but still, wow, that's pretty ballsy on your part, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I was. Well,
Definitely.
I did ask one of the state troopers to walk me to my car afterwards.
Well, that's common sense. So not only are you brave, but you're also smart. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Absolutely.
I think bravery and being bold, I think it comes in a lot of different forms. And sometimes when I talk to women and I express that I believe that they're bold and they're brave, the first thing out of their mouth is, no, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm just being me. I'm just living. And what I like to very respectfully tell them is there's nothing wrong with recognizing bravery and boldness in ourselves. And that way we can recognize it in other women, and we can help other women recognize it in themselves and in other women. So it kind of comes full circle. So you sharing your story today could help another woman or fella who's listening to this, could help another woman realize, I have done something bold in my life. It could be the PTA. It could be standing in front of a counter in a doctor's office and sticking up for yourself or your mother or your child or something like that.
Standing up for what's right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. You could be sticking up for that person at the driver's license line who isn't being treated correctly. I mean, there's so many things that we can do that, you don't have to be running into fire. You don't have to be getting shot at. You don't have to be, jumping into water to save somebody. To be bold and brave, it's just kind of something we do going through our life.
That's right.
So I have a question that I like to ask everybody, and this might put you on the spot, but I bet you could answer it. Where you are in life right now, how do you want people to remember you?
Oh gosh, well, definitely somebody who put smiles upon the faces of the people that she served. And I would like my kids to remember that I was always supporting them and entertaining them and helping them become the awesome humans that they are. And how else would I like to be remembered? That I stood up for something that I believed was right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Aimee, thank you so much for being here with us today, and I hope that you'll agree to being interviewed again later on.
Sure. Who knows what may happen next?
Right? Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.